All right, we're going to do two pieces of sound. I apologize in advance. We're definitely not going to get to all the questions. I'll try to get to a couple, but I want to just do two quick pieces of sound. First, this is Jeremy Corbyn's response to Boris Johnson's plans for the NHS. And I'm wondering, Professor Wolff, if you could just sort of give us a little analysis on the present state of UK politics based off of this.
Firstly, we need to unspin the headline behind this, put out the facts. So this new money, which I heard Matt Hancock say this morning on your channel, it's not new money, it's old money. The Nuffield Trust, a very respected health think tank, have said that this is old money that was already given to hospitals under Theresa May. Today, essentially, they're removing the controls to allow hospitals to spend it. Number two, this money is not going to be able to do what it's being promised. So Boris Johnson is saying that they want to get rid of the backlog of maintenance, of repairs in our hospitals. We have huge problems in our hospital buildings, including ceilings falling in, water leaks, lifts not working. The cost of doing that is $6 billion. So this money is just not going to cut it. And thirdly, the reason why our hospitals are in such a state, in such disrepair, is because we had $4 billion being taken away from capital funding by this government. So this money is not enough, it's not new, and it's not going to do what's promised.
Boris Johnson just coming into power, I mean, he's basically, as she said, he's allocating money that's already set for the NHS. Are they about to have their own sort of Trump scam? And what do you think of Corbyn's prospects now?
Yeah, I think Boris Johnson is England's Trump. He is the product of a working class savaged by the great crash of 2008. The working class in England has suffered real wage losses worse than that, at least statistically, here in the United States. They were desperate. They were about, particularly because they have a tradition of socialism, a tradition of effectively a socialist party, the Labour Party. And so there was a real danger in England, more than in the United States, that this anger at the failures of capitalism, followed by an austerity that put the burden of bailing out British banks on the backs of the people, would turn the population against capitalism and bring in Corbyn as a socialist. And so the solution to that problem was to distract the British people by telling them that their problems were not capitalism, but were immigrants and Europe. And that's a perfect analogy with the United States. Immigrants and China, right, or immigrants and any foreigner that we do trade with who has been stealing from our piggy bank, in the logic of Mr. Trump. And Mr. Johnson just repeats that. It's immigrants and it's Europeans who are taking us over and dictating to us British, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. His problem, like Trump's, is that the mass of people in England love the National Health Service, right, rely on it, need it, feel about it the way Americans basically feel about Medicare also. And so no politician dares confront it, including the conservatives. It's political suicide. So here's how you handle that situation. You take away money, little bits here and there. You make the system non-functional, the way that young woman just said. The buildings are falling apart, the lift doesn't work, and so what you want is the public to get disgusted by the quality of the service and then be angry, and then be willing to go with the conservatives to cut it as a kind of punishment for its dysfunction. Or in the language of American conservatives, starve the beast, the government. And so that's what they're doing, and they're hoping to get away with it by saying we're moving money or new money, or we love the NHS while they gut it, and then give maximum publicity to the operation that didn't happen, to the service that wasn't rendered, as a way of undercutting the public sector and serving their private donors who make that party be what it is. Very pathetic. And the only question is whether Jeremy Corbyn can mobilize both his radical members and enough of the press to be able to get the alternative message out to the British people. And so far, he has been 50-50 on getting that job done. He's made good progress in some ways, but he is hampered. The old line, Tony Blair kind of
Labour
Labour people hate him, undercut him every chance they get. accuse him of anti-Semitism or whatever else they can throw at him. The media are typically conservative because they're owned by Murdoch and folks like that. So he has a tremendous difficulty getting the message out in the face of the government. But in the end, it's the British people that keep that conservative government in power. And it's an amazing testimony to me, having been betrayed by the failure of capitalism to deliver on its promises, the collapse of 2008, the austerity imposed on the British afterward, all by the Labour Party, by the Conservative Party, and yet they've been able to deflect all of the rage, and it's enormous in England, onto immigrants and onto the Europeans to get the crazy Brexit vote. And even though it unraveled everything in England, they still can hold on. They keep beating that horse. And Mr. Johnson is the final last gasp of running a politics that gets away from the economic crisis and pretends it's a crisis of Polish plumbers coming in to work in England and of European bureaucrats who are telling us what to do. The childishness is, but then again, it reminds me of Milton Friedman,
right,
who's hateful towards the bureaucrat, as if the bureaucrat in a public office is some fundamentally different animal from the bureaucrat in the corporate office across the street. The mentality is spectacular.
Well, there's the Tory scam. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.